moving to Australia. So the first thing you're going to want to think about is your visa. So I'm over here on a class 417 working holiday visa, which is valid for 1 year and can be renewed when you're over here as long as you do 88 days of specified work, which is farm work, construction work, that sort of thing that you've probably seen a lot of people do on trips over here. So I'm over here on a working holiday visa. It's really easy to get, really cheap, and it's probably the easiest way to get into Australia from the UK, at least in my experience. Another option is a sponsored visa, and this will require you to get sponsored by a company over here. This is very unlikely compared to a working holiday visa, and you would have to have quite an exceptional skill set to be sponsored by someone over here without working for them first. It is possible, however, usually only applicable to people with degree level education or above. However, having said that, it's all dependent on what field you're in, what company you're applying to. So it's best to get in contact with companies over here first. That's what I've done. Unfortunately, I couldn't get sponsored, and hence why I'm over here on a working holiday visa. Con number one of the working holiday visa is actually the restrictions in terms of where you can work and for how long. You're only entitled to work in one workplace for a maximum of 6 months, and so therefore you are very limited. A lot of jobs you apply for over here, especially the permanent jobs, the full-time jobs, a lot of places like to provide a lot of training. Therefore, it just wouldn't be cost effective for them to take you on if you're going to be out the door again in 6 months. So just be aware you are very limited to the jobs you can apply for over here. Do some research beforehand, but saying that, there is still a lot of avenues you can follow depending on your experience. As long as you're quite proactive in looking for a job, you will find somewhere. Something I really recommend doing is sending out emails to companies from the UK that you would like to work for. If you know where you're going in Australia and you know where you're going to be staying, it's a very good opportunity to get ahead of the game. Send as many emails out as you can, pester as many people as you can, and eventually something will come your way. Nothing's going to land on your doorstep. You will have to keep emailing people, you will have to call people, you will have to go around and hand CVs out the old-fashioned way. But something will come to you eventually, as long as you put the hard work and effort in to go and apply and to contact the right people. Sometimes you might have to do free work. It's what I did. I wanted to get into a new field, so I sent out a load of emails offering my help and volunteering to do free work for companies, and that's what happened. I've done some free work, worked my arse off at it, and eventually I got given a paid position. So it will pay off. You might have to do a bit of free work, except that you are on the back foot coming over here, applying for a job. Companies can pick from any Australian citizen. Why would they pick you? And you need to show them why they should choose to give you a job. Number two. The next thing I want to talk about is the weather. And I think everyone knew this was coming, but the weather's a lot different to the UK. I mean, I feel silly even saying it because everyone knows the weather's different to the UK. But make provisions for coming over for the weather. Don't bring a load of jumpers and long jeans and coats and scarves and hats and gloves, especially if you're arriving in summer. I arrived in mid-November, and so far in the last 3 months it's been over 40 degrees Celsius a number of times. It's usually in the 30s. It's very hot. Be smart when you're packing. Even go out and do some shopping before to get more appropriate clothing for over here, because it does quickly drain it out of you if you go out every day and you're boiling hot. So take that into account when you're packing to come over here. You want short sleeve t-shirts, you want shorts, you want a hat to keep the sun out of your face, and yeah, be smart when you're packing. As long as you're prepared, the weather shouldn't be as much of an issue as you think it might be. Number three, and this is a big one for me. When you get over here, you'll quickly realize, especially if you're from somewhere like the UK or a small country, that Australia is huge. It's absolutely massive, it's colossal. You come over here and you realize that a quick trip down the shops isn't a quick trip down the shops like it is in the UK. If you can set aside some money from your savings to buy yourself a cheap car over here, that'll make getting around so much easier. Even if you can't afford that, even a bicycle, something like that, just to get you around a bit quicker. Public transport over here, again, even in Sydney, isn't the best at all. It's really irregular when you really need it. So having that extra mode of transport really helps to get you around, especially when the buses or the trains aren't running when you want them to. And so yeah, definitely consider that. If you can afford a car when you come over here, I would recommend buying one as soon as possible when you've got the income to maintain it. If not, a bicycle, a skateboard, anything that will get you around a bit quicker than walking, especially in the heat. Trust me, you'll be thankful for. Number 4 is homesickness, and this is something that I didn't think I was going to have to deal with when I moved over here. As I'm sure many of you are probably thinking at the moment, you cannot wait to get out of home, you cannot wait to get out of the country that you've been in for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So that's what I thought. When I left, I thought that I'm not going to miss home at all, but moving away definitely makes you realize what you appreciated about home. And I think this is a really good thing because, you know, everyone knows that saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, and it's certainly true with traveling and moving as well. It's nice now knowing that when I go back home, I'll be able to appreciate things that maybe before I took for granted, but now I realize how important they were to my life and my happiness back at home. So you will get homesick, you'll miss people at home, you'll miss some things at home that you didn't even think you would miss. However, saying that doesn't mean you'll want to go back home, it just means that it'll make you appreciate what you had a lot more. So number 5 are the insects, and this is probably something that puts most people off coming to Australia, is the insects, the creepy crawlies, the spiders, the ants, the moths, the cockroaches, all the insects that Australia is famed for. So personally, just in the last 3 months, I've seen a couple of spiders. I've seen a few spiders around the house, including a huntsman, which if you don't know what a huntsman spider looks like, it's a bit like this. Don't go sticking your hand into dark corners and spider webs and all sorts. Just keep your wits about you, don't be an idiot, and you will generally be okay. A bonus one I wanted to talk about, number 6, is you won't regret moving over here, I promise. Whether it's Australia or whether it's a different country that takes your fancy, I would definitely recommend doing it. Trust me, you won't regret it. And if anything, you'll go back home, rest assured that you won't have that doubt in your mind when you're older of what if. If you guys or girls have any questions that you would like to ask, feel free to put them in the comment section. I will answer every single one of them. Hope you've enjoyed my first video. If you have, please subscribe and I'll be back again soon.